remind our listeners that they can't make it out to the game. They can join us at yourbranchnews.com. We're going to host the pictures, interviews, and photos, in addition to some video clips of tonight's action. Once again, that's yourbranchnews.com. With that being said, Tommy DeLong, we were talking earlier this week about the great services that you're offering the community and the great things that you're getting ready to bring out to the Spring Branch area. First, tell our listeners just a little bit about yourself and how you got started athletically.
Yes, sir. I'm originally from the Rosenberg area. Grew up in Rosenberg and attended Terry High School for a couple years. My older brother played there. He graduated in '97. He was a quarterback and went on to play at Trinity University, a really good high academic Division III. Nothing wrong with the Division III level whatsoever. Right in beautiful San Antonio, and I followed in his footsteps and played football all growing up and. Concentrated on football at Terry as well as track. My dad got moved, and we ended up in Smithville, which is a really small 3A school on 71 in between Bastrop and LaGrange, where all the wildfires are. I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with. So, going from a bigger 5A at that point before there was 6A. And went over to Smithville, and so kind of threw my recruiting process off a little bit. I went from a good 5A. I was a little bit undersized, like 99% of kids in Houston and in the country, and was learning to deep snap and do some of those things. Concentrated on one or two sports, and went to Smithville. And I went from being undersized and going to Smithville. I was 6'2", 220, which I grew to. So I was one of the bigger kids at that 3A level. So I was playing every sport, football, track, baseball, basketball, and never really had the opportunity to specialize or focus on one sport. Never really learned and continued to pursue deep snapping. So my recruiting process never really took off for one reason or another, and my senior year I ended up with a couple small opportunities at Texas Lutheran in Seguin, a walk-on opportunity at Angelo State out in San Angelo, obviously a fine Division II program, and ended up passing up the opportunity to play at the college level and went to Division I A&M Corpus-Christi, which was a great experience, but no football, no sports, just played intramurals and got my degree, graduated, and moved to San Antonio and found College Promoters, and 8-9 years later, here I am.
College Promoters are out of San Antonio. I've done research on them and seen them in various aspects. We talked about one gentleman, Grant Williams, who used your service, was able to find a home to continue his athletic career. What was it about College Promoters that made you stay with them? You said 9 years already.
Yes, sir. Immediately after college, I had a job to make ends meet. Like most college graduates, this day and age, it's really hard to find something in your field right out of the gate. So, right. I had something to make ends meet, and kind of unique story. I College Promoters a few times on my way to my other job, and started doing a little research like yourself, and said, even before that, I knew I wanted to be in this industry. Mm-hmm. I'm a huge, obviously, high school football fan. I'm a huge sports fan. I follow recruiting. I've done so for 15 to 20 years, and so I knew this is what I wanted to do. I just didn't know that something like College Promoters existed and was an avenue I could take. Drove by the corporate office there in San Antonio a number of times, and it was a very tight-knit, family-owned business. They weren't hiring at the time. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of small businesses, it was the founder and his wife and his son were the 3 employees at that time.
Wow.
And so, I beat down the door, and I eventually, just kind of like I tell all of the athletes we meet with and we work with, is if you want something in life, you got to go get it. So during college, I came from Corpus to work with the Astros as an intern. The World Series year, so I timed it out perfectly.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. It was a great experience, and the same thing with College Promoters. They were not hiring at that time, and so I beat down the door, called him a couple times, went in a couple times, and he finally said, "Okay, kid, you can come work here, but it's unpaid." And so I knew this is what I wanted to do. I took the leap. I had my other job to make ends meet, and it was just it was the company. Doug Smith, the Smith family, the ethics, and really the passion that they had for truly helping student athletes. Because like in industry, Greg, any industry, there's guys that do it the right way, and college promoters does.
Right.
That the athlete is first. And that's really what has driven me to this point. So it was just the family atmosphere, and being a small family-owned company. They're from Doug is from Iowa originally, so from Sioux City. So it's just that small-town family-owned atmosphere, and we bring that to our student athletes. We're very personal. We meet with everyone face to face. It's very family oriented. I'm here full-time locally in the community. I meet with athletes. Everybody has my personal cell phone number, email address. I'll come to your house. You can come to one of the locations I'm at, Starbucks or one of the sports facilities, whatever you need to do. We're accessible. So that's really, going back to your question, that's really what has kept me, at College Promoters and has driven me, is just the opportunity to be with a great company that is all about family and all about the student athletes.
You say you're just down the street. You're about 10, 15 minutes away. You can meet anybody in the Spring Branch athletic community that wants to get in contact with you. Before we go any further, tell us how to get in contact with you, Tommy.
Yes, sir. Obviously, social media, is a big one. We're at, all of our social media. You can follow us on Instagram. It's H-Town College Scout on Instagram, H-Town College Scout on Twitter. You can also search just College Promoters USA. You can go to collegepromotersusa.com. Is our website. Again, that's collegepromotersusa.com. A lot of very useful information on there. A lot of free information that you can read up on about the college recruiting process, about the athletes we've helped previously, like Grant, and a number of kids. We've helped about almost 4,000 over our 20 years.
Wow.
So you can look at our Hall of Fame, look at the profiles, a lot of good free access there as well. My email is tommy@collegepromotersusa.com. If you have any specific questions, again, it's Tommy, Tommy, @collegepromotersusa.com. You can, hit me there or on social media. I'm all over the place. You can find me at Starbucks. You can find me at in LA. You can find me at All In Cypress. So very accessible, and like you said, I meet with athletes face to face and the families, and do so in home like a college coach. We can do it, at one of the sports performance facilities or whatever's more convenient and accessible for the family.
You've done this for so long, so you have almost an expertise in doing it. We saw some great talent on the field tonight, some sophomores that are leading the way for both Memorial and Northbrook. It's week 6 of the football season. What are you telling these guys if they're finally getting it together that maybe I can, go to college, or I need to have a plan? They're finally waking up to it. I'm not talking about the juniors or seniors. We want them too, but those sophomores getting on the ball early. What are you telling them? What's your advice to them?
Yeah, it's very important. Like anything in life, as I mentioned earlier, if you want something, you got to go get it. But there's a big difference, and there's a big disconnect between wanting to go get it and actually having the game plan,
right.
And having the organization and having the guidance and the tutelage to go and get it. Most student athletes, Greg, would love to engage in this process, but most athletes, most families have never been through this process. Maybe
right.
Maybe this is the first child, so the parents don't know what to do or what to expect. The high school coach, bless them, they will help as much as they can, but they've got their own families. They've got game plans, to work through. They've got practices. They've got athletic director duties. They've got classes to teach. They've got a lot of responsibilities. So they'll do what they can, but it just comes down to time. And resources, and so for the sophomores, and even for the juniors, for some of them, you got to get in early, and like anything, the earlier you get started, the more work you put into it, the longer you do it, the better you're going to be at it. I'm much more knowledgeable and better at what I do after nearly a decade than I was when I walked in the door, as I'm sure you are your first time on doing a broadcast. So it's just you gotta have the time. And what I've seen over this decade is far too many athletes, they get in a time crunch and they're scrambling, so I'm meeting with a couple seniors right now. The later in the process you get, the more the more picky you got to be. And that's the same thing with college coaches at every level. The deeper you get into this process as a senior, the pickier you got to be, because you just don't have much time, and there's only so many spots. And so getting started as a sophomore will really just enhance your opportunities. And a lot of this is about timing. And at these better levels of play, even down to the the D1 FBS, the A&M and UTs that you see on TV every Saturday, to the D1 FCS, the Houston Baptist and Stephen F. Austin and Prairie View A&M and those types of schools, down to the D2s. West Texas A&M and A&M Commerce and Angelo State and on down the line. These guys, they're not waiting until the senior year.
Right.
I have, even at the Division II level, where 10, 15, 20 years ago, when it was still VHS and landline telephones, they may wait till the senior year. But this day and age, with the amount of information that's out there, you got to get started early, just to give yourself the best opportunity, because there's so many schools, there's so many student athletes and kids. I mean, heck, right here, and if you just take West Houston, and we talked about this the other day, let's just say all of Houston, there's 100 pretty good high schools in our area at, let's say, 20 seniors per high school. Some schools have 40, some may have 15 or 20. Let's just say 20. That's tens of thousands of kids, and there's just there's not room for everybody, and so you got to do those extra things. And one of the big things you can do is get started early and have that game plan and organization to really work through this process step by step, so that you don't get to that senior year and get stuck and start scrambling.
You talked about timing. You talked about spots. One of the things you did mention to me is that I'm not going to say you do everything for the student athlete, but you lay out a pretty comprehensive plan to where there's your junior days, where it's your different, camps in the summer that you would recommend them go to, and all the various guidance that's needed. I mean, just go over some of that, and all that support that you're giving. You're giving them a website. You're giving them a link to say, hey, coach, go check me out here. Here's my highlight tape, my stats. Here's some information about myself and my family. This is my background. I mean, you lay it all out for everybody to make it very simple and accessible.
Absolutely. And that's, kind of going back to, there's a big disconnect, between wanting to go get it and actually having the game plan to be able to do so, and having the guidance and the tools and resources to execute that game plan. And to kind of, get on an athlete's level, I like to tell them, look, you can, let's say it's off season, and you can go to LA Fitness or, Planet Fitness or whatever you're doing. You can go on your own, and, you go try to get a workout in. You got an hour to spare. You may hit some bench or, something like that. You're probably not going to hit legs.
Right.
Nobody really likes to do leg day by themselves, honestly. So, that workout is going to be, it's not going to be as effective. It's not going to be very efficient. You're going to kind of float around, and other people are using the equipment, and you don't really know what to do because you don't have a coach telling you, hey, hit 5x5 on the squat, and lining out those exercises for you. And now you put that in and put it up against going to the school and working out with the coaches. They're telling you what to do. You've got the equipment accessible to you. You got the bars and the plates, and the music's blaring, and your teammates are there, and the testosterone's pumping. It's just the effectiveness of those two workouts is night and day. And that's really that same scenario applies to this process, because far too many athletes, they don't know what to do. The parents don't know what to do, and then it comes down to time. Maybe the athlete and the parent does have some time, but they just don't have enough, or they don't know what to do to get the most out of that time, and so you're out there blindly wasting your potential. And what I try to tell our athletes is, this is a lifetime decision.
Right.
This isn't,
You said it was a 50-year decision.
Oh yeah.